Hey, Chris Lipe here with 5 80s vocal lines you have got to know, learn, and internalize with your own voice. It's not important that you sing these vocal lines in the same key as the original artist. It's not important that you sound like them. What is important is that you take things from what they're doing. You take their approaches, their ideas, the way they phrase, the way they place resonances in their own voice, and you experiment and see what happens with your voice. And in the process, you take little pieces of music that you've possibly grown to know and love over the years and let them inform your own creativity and your own capabilities as a vocalist. This is one of the most fun ways to practice, and really the main way that I practice improving my voice. And if you like this approach and you'd like to really dial in your own voice with my help, the best place to start is by clicking the link below and joining my free voice course. There's lots of ways we can work together from there once you've gone through that free course. And I should say that these vocal lines are not always the hook. They're not always the most prominent part of the song. They're the lines that I've used throughout the years, or maybe even recently come upon, because they awaken certain things in my own voice. I use a lot of these as exercises or warm-ups. So I just wanted to set that stage, because if you're looking at them like that, you're looking for how useful they are in your own voice. This one had to make the list and is one of my most long-standing vocal runs that I do in my own warm-ups and in my own practicing. Sweet Child of Mine, Axl Rose, Guns N' Roses.
Sweet child of mine.
And I love this slide at the end. The tone that he has is unique, yet his approach is very standard for the time frame and the genre. There's nothing like Axl. However, when we put this in our own voice, particularly the way he and I like to approach these an octave lower first to get the notes where they're not so taxing, and then not feel any pressure to necessarily sing it in the original key. But if I can get there and experiment with it and feel good about it, I will. But with these that kind of thing, it's a really neat agility exercise. Notice how he kind of it's like he slingshots. His voice is on a rubber band. He grounds on a particular note. Right here, especially. Is the note. So without trying to get the exact notes he's doing, picture this note as an anchor note, sweet child, and move around it. Picture in your mind as you're doing this that is home. Even though it's not the one or anything of this song, it's where you get to rest. And as you start going up in your range, and as you start slingshotting over to these other notes, even if you're a little off on some of these other notes, even if it's a little strained to get to some of these notes, as long as you know you can return home, you're going to feel safer in performing the line. Sweet child, sweet child. I am feeling out how this works in my voice and having fun with it. If I try to be too accurate to what Axl does in this, I will fail, because I want to follow just like he was. I want to follow, based on that grounding note, around where my voice wants to go. So it might be something like this. Sweet child of mine. Or maybe I want to play around with a little crowier sound, kind of like he's got. Child, child. Keep it low. Sweet child. Bring it a little higher. Sweet child of mine. How does your voice feel when it's resonating that way? Ask yourself those questions. There's no wrong answers. We just want to be sort of separated from our normal go-tos with our voices as we're doing some of these things. Lots of what I do with this line from Axl is start it and then let my voice go kind of wherever it wants. And then experiment with the different placements, that crowishness, a little brighter, going in and out of my mixed voice, maybe into my head voice a little bit. Sweet child, sweet child of mine. Sweet child of mine. The fun is in messing it up, learning it most of the way, pulling little resonance and placement things, and then exaggerating them in your own voice. See what happens. All right, number 2, Ronnie James Dio, Rainbow in the Dark. Great line, lots of subtleties here I want to go through.
Like a rainbow in the dark. Yeah.
Love the yeahs. Those make great exercises, especially following kind of a hook. But listen here again.
Like a rainbow in the dark.
Let's just do that. This is not like a rainbow in the dark. It's not that. There's some of that, but listen to how he approaches like. Like. And then listen to this.
Like a rainbow in the dark.
Dark. He's throwing that resonance so far back toward his soft palate. Like. If you've seen my videos that I've done with Lucas Magyar from Veil of Maya, you know about this placing the resonance forward or back to get certain flavors of grit. And this sound he's got here, it's not like he's just choking the note. There's this intentional placement of forward and backward, like that would be really forward, like where I'm feeling the resonance here, versus like. So by moving it around, like a rainbow, we get this ability to kind of, it sounds like he's clawing at it, like a rain, like that. And then he does it again on dark. Listen, and you can hear the tone change too.
Like a rainbow in the dark.
Dark. Of course, I'm lengthening it and exaggerating it, and he's got an element of crow the whole time, right? Like, rainbow in the dark. If I'm really slowing that down. But if we pay attention here, and let's lower the key a little bit and work with it if we're not that comfortable here, just focus on the resonance. Like a rain, somewhere around there. Like a rainbow in the dark. Or I'm actually bringing dark back. Like a rainbow in the dark. Hear it? It's not just about going and sort of frying out. It's about this forward-backward placement. So this line is fantastic to do that with because he's doing it. Put it in different parts of your range. Like a... Well, I didn't do it that time, right? Practice it with and without. Like a rainbow in the dark. Like a rainbow in the dark. Like a... Really neat tool to have. Again, it creates this sort of biting, like a rainbow in the dark. Sometimes it's kind of hard to get out of that and dynamically move the placement around. You heard me, like a... I'm experimenting with that placement, with that back placement. and my voice started cracking. That's okay. If that happens, lean into that break and you'll get something cool. Like a rainbow in the dark. That's kind of cool too, because I leaned in to the vocal crack. But if you really want to clean it up, practice thinking about back and forward, back and forward. Focus on that. And let's quickly talk about the yaz at the end. So he's got that really chesty mix sound. Yeah! Yeah! Really neat. It's a little more crowish than what I'm doing. Yeah! He's more, yeah! Yeah! That's more difficult for me to do, but it sounds neat to try to experiment with the difference. His tone is placed further back than a lot of singers that do, you look at Axl Rose, yeah! He's somewhere in the middle. I would say that Dio's resonance is placed a little further back. He's also got a little more, he pulls his chest up into his mix much more also than Axl. Axl has a thinner vibe to what he's doing. But I love working these in different areas of my range. Yeah! And then falling off that, yeah! Yeah! Practice kind of coming down into your chest, grounding in your chest voice. Different places. Yeah! Yeah! Go into your head voice. Experiment with these notes and what you're comfortable with and what feels good in your voice as you're placing your resonance in different places. All right, number 3. Alone, Heart. Now, this was recorded originally in the 80s and was released on Bad Animals, but we're going to listen to a live version done much later because I love the attitude in her voice. I think Ann Wilson's voice got better and better, and it's such a great sounding voice. I really like what she does here, and of course the harmonies here. Man, what a great song. Here it is.
And now it chills me to the bone. How do I get you alone?
We're gonna go over the harmony and the melody.
Yeah, how do I get you alone?
So many things that I want to talk about. Let's start here.
Now it chills me to the bone.
Hear hear that? How it's this wonderful slide. It's very similar, yet in a completely different environment to the thing that's happening with Axl. But here, we've slowed it down.
Now it chills me to the bone.
And it's not done like this. Chills me to the bone. It's more like this. Chills me to the bone. Hear the difference? We've got this lower larynx. Ann Wilson tends to drop her larynx when she goes higher, and it creates this neat, beefy, desperate sound. I'm going to lower it so you can hear the effect. Chills me to the bone. Here I'm brighter, lower, darker, lower larynx. Chills me to the bone. That's different than reaching for a note. Chills me to the, that's different. Chills me to the bone. You get this extra belty, dark desperation out of it. And she does it again here at the end. Listen to that again. This is not alone. Well, we've got a super forward placement. It's really bright. Of course, in her voice, she's singing more in her chesty. She's not going super high here. This is a good belt for her. So I need to lower it and put it in my own resonance that's similar to hers. Alone. That's how she closes lone. And goes up to that note. Alone. No, that's what the other guys are doing. Or alone. That's what the other guys are doing. She's going dropped larynx. Oh, open nasality, right? Not blocking off the nasal passage. Alone. Alone. This approach requires a bit more air, but if you can go back and forth between this sound, the alone, where everything is super forward, and alone, blend those two resonances together over a line like this. Alone. Listen to the neat tonal warmth and variance that's happening. Okay, now let's get to the middle part.
How do I get you alone? Yeah, how do I get you alone?
Now, bear in mind everything that we just talked about. As opposed to and listen to how she's using compression up there. She's not necessarily thinking about using compression, but she's using compression. That's how we want to think about it.
How do I get you alone?
Remember, I'm not going for her key. I'm going for similar resonant placement, which means I have to lower the key. How do I get you alone? How do I get you alone? Oh, not oh, but oh. That was a better demonstration. My larynx is fairly low. Oh, yeah, of course. Alone. Just studying and internalizing what she does blows my tonal possibilities wide open and ensures that I do not get stuck in one way of resonating.
Yeah, how do I get you alone?
Yeah, how do I get you alone? Yeah, how do I get you alone? Yeah, forward, lower larynx. There's power. There's so much power. Yeah. Next. Steve Perry, Journey, Don't Stop Believin'. Maybe not the part of the song that you would think. Here it is. You might be seeing a little bit of a theme, or we have these sort of grounding notes that make really good exercises and ways of exploring your voice. But this has a very unique area here. Listen to how on evolves over the line. We have the first one. It goes on. It goes on. Right? Very sort of neutral resonance. Then listen to the next one. A little more crowish. On. It goes on and on. Okay? I'm exaggerating to make a point, but listen again. It keeps getting placed further back. It keeps getting honkier sounding. It goes on and on and on until we get to on and on. It goes really forward. It becomes this forward belt. So let me make that progression for you now in in one line. It goes on and on and on and on. It goes on and on and on and on. This part of the song, it's always been one of my favorite, like, drill into your forehead sort of lines because of the way that every on is slightly different. And he is such a master vocalist because of the way that he moves his resonance around. He's got an incredible range. He's got that wonderful natural rasp. But what I'm doing here is what every vocalist should learn how to do, whether they're covering a song or whether they're writing melodies. How can you play very subtly with the way that notes and even the same word is done, so that you have this interesting dynamic feel and sound and character to your voice? We should exaggerate this more in different places of our range. It goes on, it goes neutral, it goes on and on and on and on. Oh, and like I have this ball of resonance in the very front of my mouth. It goes on and on and on and on. Let's change the key around. Let's make it lower. It goes on and on and on and on. It goes on and on and on and on. Now you might be saying, Chris, you sound a little bit silly. I don't care. I can always dial back the extremes, but most vocalists don't ever explore the extremes. They don't exaggerate enough to find out how the different resonant placements feel. That's why extracting stuff from your favorite singers and experimenting with what they do is so useful, and then exaggerating it. It goes on and on and on and on. It goes on and on and on and on. It goes on and on and on and on. It goes on. And next, we've got Bono, U2, With or Without You. This probably goes down in history as one of my favorite warm-ups to place in my voice. I use the other ones as warm-ups as well. This one is probably the one I do more than any of the other ones. There's lots of other subtleties in different ways to pull out of this. Okay, I first want to address the H's. And the little crack. Oh! He cracks into that. He sighs into it. It's not just, oh! It's not a hard onset. Oh! That's a very forward, oh! It's where the last on ended with Steve Perry's, right? It's, oh! Oh! Now listen to what he does here. Oh! Not right there. Oh! He pulls the rug out from his belted support and sighs again, even though he hasn't started the line again. Oh! Oh! And then same note. Oh! Oh! That right there is a fantastic exercise, because oftentimes we associate our vocal break with losing control and like, oh, I'm breaking and I can't sing anything. I can't target a certain pitch. But if we practice grounding and throwing our voice to some random side head voice pitch, coming back to a note, wow, that really helps with our sense of control and agility. And it is a huge part, believe it or not, of developing good vibrato and good ability to do runs. Like, if you can do this, you will have a better chance of being able to develop vibrato and do great runs. More on that in another video. But listen to how he adds these sighs in and combines them with that very forward belt. Then notice how quick those sighs are. There's these little chirps. So that's a really good thing to practice too, just right there. How quick can you make those? Or lower it if you need to. And add more just to practice that feel of losing control and regaining control. If any of these passages have overwhelmed you in any way, if you haven't already, click the link below and join my free voice course, and I'll help you bring your voice up to the level you can start making more use of stuff like this. And the studying isn't over. Check out this video if you'd like to dig into some great lines from some classic rock favorites of mine.